Huh?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
you're all
guess
good?
I forgot.
Okay, at this point, we would entertain a motion to amend and hopefully accept.
Second is.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? Not hearing any? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have our agenda right now that we have Chenango Solar, under old business, the Schultz subdivision on Hitchcock Point, they will not appear tonight. Mike Mastriano, Larry, do we know anything? No, okay. And Doug Weaver, I don't see Doug, but I got a call that Doug would be here, so at some point. All right, under new business, we have Mr. Breen, Stephen Breen, for a 2-lot subdivision down on Route 31. And I prefer that this is for discussion only. We're not really entertaining an application, but we're having a discussion about the issues. Then we have Walker Tree Service that wants to amend their special use permit for their business out there on Route 5, and Rick Myers has got a 2-lot subdivision down here on Lake Road, Lakeport Road, large acreage, and they want to split. Okay? Anybody else? We'll just get in the back of the line. Okay? You're up.
Evening, Travis Mitchell with Environmental Design Partnership here with Liza Shep of Nexam and John Ahern with California attorneys for the applicant. I'm going to skip over a lot of the background information and other pieces that we've reviewed in the past and just focus really tonight on the B&L letter, which is our focus to get through the secret process. You can of course talk about anything you want, but in the interest of time, I'll try and just focus on that B&L letter. You know the site, it's a 270-acre site on Lakeport Road across from Smith Ridge Road. About 16 acres of it outlined in blue here is where we're proposing the solar farm. The layout, you've got full plan sets there in front of you that's just overlaid on Google Earth. It's very similar to what you've seen in the past. The solar farm itself is identical, it's in the exact same position. There is a slight change to the way the roadway comes in here. There's a little hook in it, really just to avoid wetland disturbance as we come in with the roadway. That was the reason for the change. The prior version that you saw had it come straight in like this, so a little hook there to stay out of the wetland. We were last here at your last planning board meeting, October 4th. We had kind of a lengthy homework assignment providing additional information that B&L had requested, Attorney Lange had requested, your board, the ZBA. We had hoped to get that all into you by the 18th. We're a couple days beyond that. We're not asking you to take any action tonight. We just want to go through the B&L letter that they got to us yesterday. Appreciate getting it done in a short turnaround, and so that we can really set things up to potentially go through seeker at the next meeting.
Travis, can I just,
Yes.
just so people out here that aren't familiar with this project. This is a 3.1 megawatt solar farm down here on Lakeport Road. It's roughly just north, I believe, of Smith Ridge, where Smith Ridge comes in, or just south of south of where Smith Ridge, and on the east side of Lakeport Road. What we're doing is at this point is we're attempting a coordinated review for seeker. The planning board, we've gone through all that process. We have requested lead agency. With the formalities of that, we've passed that we are the lead agency, but they are in the process of going to the Zoning Board of Appeals to get some relief for some of this wetland issues that we're talking about, and that's really the substance of tonight's discussion. And then, so we have to do the seeker and do the part 2 here before that can go to ZBA, and so that's what that process is. And in this process, Barton LaJudas is reviewing the submittals, and they have many submittals here that they've given besides just the site plan and everything else. and helping us get to the bottom of any issues with the seeker. This is called a type 1 action. That's as high as you can go, at least at our level anyway. And they're helping us with that, and that's in referral. Dr. LaJudas in the last 48 hours put out a review letter of some of these materials. Everything is basically, we're back and forth at this point, and so that, and Travis is kind of responding to B&L's response as of 24 hours ago, Rizzy. Okay?
Thank you for
So
that.
that's what we're doing. We're not gonna be taking any action on anything.
As Chairman Park suggested, this is a lengthy process, so this board needs to make a decision on seeker. And once that's done, we go back to the planning board or back to the ZBA for a decision on the zoning variance. And then should that be favorable, we're back in front of this board for full site plan review. So we'll be here for a few more months.
Yeah.
So the B&L letter, as you suggested, the letter starts off citing over 30 documents that have been submitted so far, from layer studies, visual analysis, other agency sign-offs, and it's quite a substantial record that B&L had to get through and review. We received their letter yesterday. For the most part, it doesn't appear to me there's anything substantive left requested in there. Some clarifications and some other information. We will provide a written response to point by point to this letter within the next week or so that everyone has it in plenty of time for your next meeting. I do want to take the time to go through a few things though, just I think while we're here tonight. There's a discussion of the secret coordinated review. I'm not sure if that's just there to, just for the record, but as Chairman Park suggested, we did initiate coordinated review already in August. We did not attend your September meeting because we needed that 30 days to lapse. We were here in October, and the board did take lead agency status. So we will be on that step. And as mentioned, the primary focus here is the solar panels placed in the wetland. We satisfy the Army Corps and the state requirements. We don't satisfy the local town requirements, which is why we're in front of the ZBA. And B&L spends quite a bit of time in their letter talking about different aspects of the placement of the wetlands. So I'll just go through those quickly for you, and again, we'll respond right into these. But there's a question about satisfying the general permit conditions. They're question 1 under the approach to permitting the wetlands, and we will satisfy all the section 404 general permit conditions. Number 2, there's a question about the use of multiple nationwide permits, and this is pretty common in development of solar farms. We will use, as we suggested in the documentation, 3 different nationwide permits. Nationwide permit 14 for the access road, nationwide permit 51, which is specific to solar applications, and 57 for the underground electric plants. Number 3, there's a question regarding the jurisdictional determination. So that's the wetland determination that the state and federal agencies concur with our delineation. And as suggested in this comment, we're not requesting a specific JD. The JD will be provided as part of the permit review. And of course, you'll have copies of all that once that's done, which I believe is what B&L is suggesting. There's a question about DEC jurisdiction. We don't believe that's question 4. We don't believe it's jurisdictional. It's 3,000 feet away outside their 500-foot channel. But DEC will be part of this process. They're part of the joint PCN process that we copied on everything, and they'll provide their concurrence as they go through the permit. Number 5, a question on potential to move the solar south where there's less wetland and some farmland. And this is a balancing act. So we've talked about this before. We satisfy the Army Corps' requirements for wetland disturbance. We think this is the best location for this. Moving it south, we still have wetland impacts. We still have the same issue with the town, with the local code on the 1,000-foot buffer. We think this is the best location. If we move it south, we take the only potential farmland that there is on this site with the solar farm, and we still have the wetland impacts. So we balance the prime farmland that Ag and Markets looks out for with placement of this and the practical construction of this.
Can you show that on the map a little bit? Can you flip over to the map?
Sure.
So
Yep.
talk a little bit more about,
Sure.
so the board can visualize what the comment is.
Absolutely. Here is I'm gonna do two different maps. So this one is the prime farmland map, and I show this because it shows where our site is. So here's our site here. This is in the magenta, or this purplish color is what's classified by Ag and Markets as prime farmland. In here is prime farmland, it's drainage. And what we've suggested back to Ag and Markets, and you got copies of our letters to them, is, well, it may be mapped as prime farmland, it is classified as wetland. So this portion, we don't believe, on a closer look, would be prime farmland. What B&L had suggested is, what about moving it this way? If you look at this, we're roughly in this area here. They had suggested, what if we move it this way? We still are going to be over the top of wetlands. We still do not satisfy the 1,000-foot setback. I think it's arguable which location is less of an impact. We satisfy the Army Corps requirements with where we are.
How much of a variance would you need if you moved it?
We still need 100%. It's still 100%.
So
Yep.
you got decreases in the amount of variance.
We still need 100%. That makes sense?
There's not a lesser impact, physical impact of the wetlands than moving.
So, I mean, we are right here now. We can do the calculation. The ZBA had asked for the coverage areas.
Yeah.
There's the potential to have less coverage, but it's going to be very similar. And again, we move that there, we take up, basically the site is, and there's no potential for any farmland. It's a solar farm and wetlands. That's it.
So the B&L comment was, have the applicant document why the solar development limits can't be revised better the way to minimize overall wetland impacts. So you'll do that in the
We will.
written response.
Yeah, we'll provide a written response to these and just go. All right, moving on to number 6, regarding the DEC 401 water quality certification. This will be the individual 401 water quality certification through DEC. So all that documentation will be permitted through DEC and then provided back to this board. And 7, so this one's, I think there may be a little bit of confusion here that we can clear up with B&L. 7 references our October 5th letter, and we were trying to get some information over to B&L to start their review with the understanding that we would then supplement it on the 18th. The memo that came on the 18th was meant to take the place of the memo on the 5th, and it really answers all of these questions. So we'll just clarify that with them. But they were asking about more site-specific information, and that is exactly what's provided in that memo of the 18th. So I'm pretty confident they'll be satisfied with that once they recognize that the 18th memo was meant to replace the 5th. Just a couple more here. Number 8, just some clarity on the wetland plan markup. It's really just clarification on some things. That's not a big deal. And there's a reference that needs to be updated to the latest plan set, no big deal. We of course know there'll be a lot more information coming when this makes it to site plan review, stormwater analysis and SWIP and all that. That's the next couple of sections really just reiterate that in the memo. There is a point of clarification here that I wanted to raise about the coordination with the fire department for emergency access. Is that something you'd like us to do on the reach out, or is it something the town is going to send to the fire department? We don't mind, I just wanted to make sure anything.
I think we've had the applicants, Frank, in the past do the initial reach out with the fire department.
They can do that, and then I guess that way, whatever the fire department wants beyond a general site plan.
Sure.
Then you're
We'll coordinate.
ready to respond to that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not a problem, just wanted to make sure.
Now, again, I'm a little unclear. It was mentioned in here. Larry, you respond to that. Is everything fire district 1 in the town?
Is what?
How do you differentiate? I'm not sure whose
Area that-
coverage area that is down there, whether
It
that's,
could
whether
be-
that's
It could be Bridgeport. or North
Bridgeport, I would
Yeah,
think.
we had listed,
Right.
oh, I wasn't sure, yeah.
Well, it's hard, cause Bridgeport pretty much covers the 31,
Yeah.
and then, Doug, you in the fire department? Okay, yeah, I'm not sure about which
We'll
one,
contact- We'll contact. you.
Yeah. it's not Chittenango.
Okay,
It's not the Chittenango house, to be either this one here, or Chittenango or Bridgeport.
okay,
Yeah, not clear.
not a problem, we'll reach out.
It should be referred to Bill Bindle, the fire marshal,
That's the way I would go, yeah.
and then he can coordinate with the.
So the town fire marshal, and he'll coordinate it from there.
Right.
Okay, yep, great, thank you. And then, you know, of course, we understand there's several additional permits and additional information that, again, once this makes it to site plan, that's going to be needed and reviewed by the last thing I wanted to spend some time on before opening up any questions and comments from the board is the discussion of the visual impact of the interconnection. This is something that the board raised at our last meeting, and we just wanted to, again, spend a few minutes on that. So this is the view of the access point roughly across from Smith Ridge Road. Solar farm in the back. This is the screening vegetation we proposed. Here are the utility poles extending into the solar farm. So what happens here is ultimately this configuration, whether it's 6 poles, 7 poles, or 2 poles and transformer pads, is something that National Grid approves. And they don't approve it until after this board acts on it. We've looked at the possibility, so what we need to do now is put forth what we think is the most realistic and best approach to this interconnection, which they then look at and finally approve. The issue with something other than what's shown here, the other alternative that could be proposed is 2 poles and 2 transformer pads. The issue is with the wetlands that we've got around here and the access that National Grid requires to get to those transformer pads, we'd be over our Army Corps thresholds on wetland disturbance. It's just, it isn't doable in this location. But I think if you take a look at a couple of things here. So these poles are gonna go right along that hedgerow right there. We had shown you a visual simulation from back here on this slide. If you look back from this direction, the poles are screened behind that hedgerow and behind the silo and the farmhouse. So you cannot see it as you approach from the south, getting to this point. And from the north, you've got this existing vegetation right here. You're not gonna see it until you are roughly in this location. It's about 850 feet along Lakeport that you can see those poles from. And it isn't something I don't believe that's out of character with the surroundings. If we look a quarter mile north, we've got a high voltage transmission corridor that goes, again, just a quarter mile north that goes across the road. And just 3/4 of a mile north, we've got Lakeport and the intersection with 31 with poles and wires in every which direction.
So how far off is approximately the first pole from Lakeport?
The first pole, I think they're about 20 feet off of Lakeport, and then it's specified by National Grid.
They can't go further in, that's.
They're 20 feet off, and then 20 feet, they have to be a very specific spacing.
Can you provide some backup for that with the information that you're stating about National Grid's requirements? So Grid is saying, yes.
Well, the short answer is yes, but what happens is we go through this process and then submit it to National Grid. They review it, they may change it, they may not. We can propose to them 2 poles and 2 transformer pads, but we can't go, the site will allow it because of the wetlands that are there.
So on our side, which is the lead agency is trying to evaluate the potential impact from visual from settings. So they have to make their determination, but they would like to probably get as much information as possible as to what the options are. If they've decided that's an impact they hope to try to avoid.
Yeah, we suggested it in the prior, information, but we can expand on it a little bit, just to, in maybe a diagram or something, just to show exactly what the issues are and why.
I think Travis's point is also that it may not be an impact that
We just need to know that,
Yeah.
as we evaluate, we're gonna positive this or not, what are the options, what are the mitigations, if it's determined that the first, we got a pretty visceral reaction from that last time we were here, and I believe so, about how those sets of poles look from that vantage point, how can we address that? So that could have, be a factor in a negative deck or a positive deck, that's why we wanna make sure we cover all our bases for that.
I think one of the advantages we have here is that they are relatively screened, other than that 850-foot stretch of Lakeport. A lot of times they're out there in the middle of the field with no vegetation at all, and the younger screening vegetation does not screen them at all. With the existing silo and mature vegetation here, it really helps the situation.
That's looking north, right?
That's looking north from down in this vicinity, looking that way. So that's just before those poles is that the silo, the other mature vegetation.
You got the hedgerow on the other side of the mobile home park.
Right. All right, last slide, just the process slide. So we've been before your board, we're coming up on a half dozen times now. We got through seeker, lead agency, status, coordinated review, we've taken lead agency. We've been through a few iterations of back and forth with BNL. We've got another one to go, and then I think we're pretty close to the board having enough information for a seeker determination. Once that happens, then we jump over to the ZBA, for them to go through their process, and then back before this board for site plan review. Questions, comments, discussion?
Ken, do you wanna make any comments?
No, we gone through,
Ken,
comments
Ken
earlier.
is representative of Barton Judas.
Certainly, not the wetlands expert at Bartlett Judas, which the bulk of the, comments Travis mentioned are focused on. Again, I've got to defer to our experts in-house on a lot of these, comments that were made, and certainly we're gonna have to see the written responses and also the mapping relative to, the alternative layouts that we had suggested that they take a look at. But,
Okay.
no, it appears, as Travis has presented, that, each comment has, a response to it, we just have to look at the details and then consult with the planning board and the attorney.
Or you're in agreement with that, that's where we're going. They're gonna respond in writing to these, document these. BNL's gonna evaluate that, but we also could, you'll have your 2 cents on to how that.
Do you know what the timing of that would be, Travis?
So
Response?
certainly in time, 2 weeks out, but we'll try and have it to you sooner than that. So
We'll try to get that to you as soon as we get that.
Certainly by the cutoff date, but as I said, we'll try and get there soon. I don't think it's not ahead, but it's pretty close.
Okay? John, we good with that? Okay.
They're already responding verbally, and they're gonna follow up with a
Right.
written, submission.
I think that's what we would have wanted you.
Agreed.
You're half a step ahead of us. Okay? All right, I think you're good.
Thanks for the time.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
safe trip.
You can go over to the zoning board meeting,
No, we'll put in a request.
That's up to you, that's fine. Yeah, we don't wanna waste your time.
If there's no other reason.
Yeah. I think that's what they said, but I gotta check my email.
Thanks.
Mr. Weaver. Come wherever you're comfortable.
Alright, so I've got a drawing. Hopefully this is captured everything we did.
Just remind the board, Doug has a motorsports operation, sales and service there outside of Lakeport. And there were some issues, code issues, and he's upgrading the existing special use permit.
Okay. So this is, I don't know what the best way to show you this is. This is bring it up here.
We'll stand up and see as much as we can.
Alright, so this is Route 31. This is the edge of the pavement, this is the road border. This line here is the edge of the pavement going down Monroe, and this is the actual street boundary as well.
Okay.
This is the area that we propose to have as a sales area. We talked before, or actually, I need my glasses to see my own work here. This area that I kind of hashed off here is what we propose for a sales area out front, which roughly mimics where we have it stoned in now. I left where we could add a little extra back here to stay within the boundary. And so a couple measurements here. This is off my survey, but so to the edge of the road at this angle, so it's perpendicular to that street, but went off of this angle, it's 45 and a half feet to the street boundary. This is about 23 feet back here and about 20 feet here. And it's a 93-foot section. So this is the area we propose where we limit sales on 31 to this area.
Okay.
This is existing parking over here, and I guess I'd like to have it worded that we could use this as auxiliary sales parking. I mean, it's for parking stuff over there that we're working on.
You propose that this area is parking as well?
This is all parking
Is
now.
there any kind of requirements or setbacks for parking?
I mean, this is existing.
Thank you.
No, I'm just curious.
So this is existing, we've been doing this, this isn't changing anything that we have now. But, so this is, parking units we're working on, customer parking. There's a ton of customers that just stop in and buy stuff.
Does the customer get there from 30? The drive,
This is Monroe up here.
right off that way.
Up here, yeah. So,
Back 300 feet, that's all business zone there.
yeah, this is.
What is your depth? What is the
This
depth?
is 212 on this side and just under
So
250.
you're well within that boundary.
What else did I have on here? I mean, that's the main thing, I think, is this here. I mean, our existing sign is here. Nothing changed into that. It's just working on what's there. So yeah, that's basically that. And I do have the forms that you asked me to fill out as well, with all that.
The forms,
Uh,
application.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, the really only thing that we're asking to change is the verbiage on the vehicles.
Larry, come on.
So I think the original was worded poorly, the way they'd accepted it, and the way it was worded.
Okay, I guess one thing is, Larry, and again, because this is a response to, your action. Part of the deal, I think, part of the problem was cars, used cars, selling cars in there. If, is that correct? Okay. We could, how many units, I mean, granted,
Well,
a Sea-Doo, a snowmobile, et cetera,
so
how much space? I guess what I'm trying to get is, what could we perceive up there?
Right, so I took.
5 pieces, 20 pieces,
So I think,
you know,
I
and
mean,
then whatever.
depending on if it's a Sea-Doo or a motorcycle or a trailer or, 3 trucks, right? So they're all gonna take up different amounts of, but this, if we limit it to this space, then it's limited, it can only go so far, right? I mean, there's only room for a few motor vehicles.
What's the dimension of that space?
Let me just throw this out for
20 feet
discussion.
wide.
Yeah, let me throw this out for discussion. What if he were limited to 2, 3, whatever he just was comfortable? Motor vehicles, trucks, cars, whatever, you know, what we call a used vehicle, other than a motorsport, anything that's connected to your motorsport, your trailers, your Sea-Doos, your snowmobiles, your motorcycles.
Trailers, boatless.
Huh?
Trailers, boatless.
Yeah, those kinds of things could go in that display area along the road. But you'd have to have a designated 2 or 3 spots down here on Monroe that could be for cars or trucks.
So I think what we talked about before.
We're trying to find a balance
Sure.
here, you know?
I guess, so my argument would be this area here is fairly limited, right?
Yep.
If we said, you know what, I'm just gonna put all cars out there, we can fit maybe 3, it's not like we're gonna have
No.
a huge car lot, right? There's a very limited space. So I guess I would ask you to consider to let us mix in cars, we're not gonna, I mean, that's not our prime business, we're not gonna have,
Well,
obviously, we're not gonna have 50 cars out here, and this is the area, right? So it's
What's
limited.
The
in
length is what, 93 feet on
90
the backside, and
yeah,
you got
90
100 and what there in the front?
So this is 100s, this whole thing.
Okay,
So
so it's 93 of the 101 feet, the frontage, they're saying do 93 by, say, 20, 23 feet for a display. I have no idea how many pieces
No,
of
I don't- we
equipment
don't-
you
we
get.
don't know.
Parking spots.
So-
Alright,
A
10 or
parking
12
spot's
parking
10 feet.
So if you like,
You do the nine,
I
right?
took a picture of, I parked my truck up there because I didn't have anything to put up there right now. I've got a double trailer next to it. I can put the picture up just to give you some scale.
I mean, you could have 9 cars in there.
Yeah, no.
Why, how can you if you have 90 feet and it's 20 feet deep?
There's no way to fit 90.
93.
Well,
Yeah,
well, something's not to scale
10
there,
feet, you can
that's
get down
100
there.
in front of,
How can you have?
you don't have 90 feet. Some doesn't look right, I mean,
The numbers are.
just from the unaided eye
10
here,
feet, you get 9.
it's not scaled.
Yeah, something's messed up.
I saw that says 93, and then I saw, you're saying this whole thing is 100.
Yeah,
You only have
That's a little-
7
It's 93, you get 9.
Yeah, yeah.
Divided by 10.
Right. Yeah.
So that 93 is wrong. About 40 or 50.
Yeah, so this is 101 to the corner to there.
Can you tape it off? Could you walk it and check
Yeah,
it
and
out?
I measured
and
it today, but
fix your plan,
I might
maybe?
have mixed this. The only thing that I messed up would possibly be this.
You,
This
pro-
is
you
all
probably
I did.
you probably could go out and verify that area with a tape measure and then adjust your
Yeah, and if-
sales area that you're proposing.
If you'd like, I can show you what it looks like as well, just for verification, just to
Sure,
show
go
you
ahead,
the
whatever
space.
you got, well,
And I mean, so I did that, and I also, for what it's worth, I took a video of 1.33 miles in each direction to give you an idea of the character of the area, just in case you're not familiar with what we're talking about. I don't know if I'm the only one asking for to be able to sell motor vehicles, but clearly I'm not the only one selling motor vehicles.
Absolutely
So,
Rich Ford sells motor vehicles, Chick Mango sells the parts.
so.
yeah,
Just
I never looked at it that way.
Yeah, right.
My only concern is about the sight lines. You know, if you got a vehicle parked there.
Yeah, that's another reason why I've got some pictures and
That's
I
why
want
I
to show
get
you what
smaller
that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, you got a good sized pickup truck there, that could block the
So
sight lines.
if we keep it in the area that I'm proposing, it kind of takes care of that.
And anything you end up doing, you should have an incredibly good labeling on that plan as to what can go, the dimensions of what can
A
actually
very
be there.
critical dimension.
Yeah, and if orientation.
Not the 93.
Right, a lot of detail on those portions of it.
55.5, that's what it is.
Exactly, and then it's locked in, because Larry will be the guy that's gonna have to check it.
How
We
much
can't
on
leave
the end
anything
on
to
it?
question.
So I get this up here?
I don't know.
Is that turned on even?
Let's see here.
We're technology deficient. I don't know if we can help you with that one.
Let me try this here. Looks like
That
it's
is not working.
three now. Let's see. There we go. Something's happening. Alright, so. Let's try that.
What's that?
Seven scale.
Oh.
We're gonna something now.
Yeah, right.
Alright, so we got that up there. So, couple of these. We have it. There we go. Alright, so we've got a couple images kind of just showing it. So that's standing from the corner. That's kind of where we're proposing. You can see the black truck. There's no, the vision isn't impeded at all there. I mean, the
That white
mailboxes
stripe
and
would be in the wrong.
poles and everything else are out farther than where we're going, right? So that's kind of what we're talking about. I don't think I got a good picture in the front just because this is the side, kind of showing you the parking area on the side.
Just coming down in a row.
31.
55. It's 30 on Monroe Ave for some
31
reason.
looking down the road.
That's
I don't know how they
left
left
down toward
that whole
31.
area down by us, they
Okay.
left at 30. So this, I kind of took a video. So this, let me back it up just so you can see where I'm talking about. So a mile and a third from where I'm at, there's one abandoned gas station or semi-abandoned gas station. We're rolling down 31. So we've got, here really only takes us only a couple minutes, I guess. This guy sells, he's got a
We
hundred
westbound?
bicycles.
We westbound?
Huh?
Westbound.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're westbound. So there's a guy that's got 100 bicycles for sale all summer there on the side of the road on the corner. We got, there's like a farm stand up here on the right. We got, over here on the left, they've got a whole bunch of, they're selling sheds. They've got 6, 7 vehicles for sale over here. All right, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. And then, right, we got a restaurant, people coming in and out of there. There's another shop behind there. Whatever this is here. All right, so we got all that. This is all within a mile, about a mile of my house, where we're trying to do this, right? And we got this guy up here that's, God knows what's going on. This place isn't too much of a mess. But it's another commercial building, another disaster. I don't know what this is. This mess, it's a commercial place, I guess. A couple more commercial properties that are a little nicer, but I mean, honestly, I don't know, and now we're coming up on my property, all right? So we see, this is my neighbor and whatever the hell he's got here. And the trouble is, you can't really see anything out front where I am anyway, because you can't see past that junk. That's me, you just passed it, it's gone.
Yeah.
Right, so across the street, we have another abandoned gas station. There's another massive commercial buildings kind of over here.
Doug, I could make the comment, we have to start somewhere.
I understand, and I guess my point is, ours is, fairly neat. We try to keep it neat and somewhat
I think the
organized.
only thing we're kind of debating here is, we don't have a problem with your motorsports, I don't think,
No,
right?
I get it. So
It's the cars now.
right.
I can't comment on, you're probably correct, there are other vehicles around
Yeah,
for sale, and but that is a perennial problem with that stretch.
Sure.
We know that.
I get it. I
You've
guess-
lived there all your life.
So
Yeah.
you could, you know what? This here, I should have stopped there and showed you this because it was a good view of what this actually looks like, and I do need to get you clarification on that measurement. I think you're absolutely right, I did something wrong there, and that one,
Did you go
on the
to
scale, the front is not, doesn't appear
It's
correct.
scaling closer to 70 with stacker.
Yeah, so that is to scale, but whatever I did there with my measuring tape.
Well, it's up to you guys
Yeah.
on that one. We can either, he's gotta come back, Doug, you gotta clean that, front up as to get the exact dimensions, like John has indicated. When it comes to enforcement of anything,
Yeah.
if somebody complains, there's gotta be something that's accurate that the code enforcement officer can go to. And that's what our whole
Yeah,
goal
no,
here is to clean that up with a good site plan.
I
Now,
think
in the meantime, I think the board has to decide on what you want up front and how many, or not, I don't know about the how many so much, but you could limit, a little bit. But that's up to you. I don't think we're not, the principal occupation of your business is motorsports. So it should not be used cars and trucks.
I get it. And
Yeah.
I think,
If you wanna sell it to you, we're not trying to hurt you economically, but same token, we don't, if we can do something to avoid the appearance of another used car lot, we would do that. Okay? Is
Yeah,
that fair?
I guess what we talked about before was, we'll take vehicles in on trade, on deals and stuff like that. It's just, it really limits us, and they're not gonna sell over on the side. Nobody's ever gonna see them over here. So if we can't display them up front, it kinda, it's basically saying we can't sell cars there, more or less, right? So,
Well, I don't know about that.
I mean,
Would it be a combination to kind of put the vehicles toward the western side of the lot? So over toward this end here, so you're a little bit farther away from the
Yeah, I mean,
intersection.
We're limited to,
have a smaller-
have a limit on it of 1, 2,
yeah,
something like that.
like we talked about that before too, and that's fine.
I
I
was
mean,
thinking no more than 2 or no
Yeah.
more than 3 at any time.
Yeah.
We gotta
then
define
have more
what that
on the
vehicle
side.
is, though.
yeah, and I guess that's
That's
the only
the gray
thing.
area.
Because, DMV would define a motorcycle as a motor
I
vehicle,
know,
it's
it
not really the
doesn't
same,
really
right?
define
Okay,
exactly
let's,
what the vehicle-
Doug, do you have an internet presence with your business? Do you feature your vehicles or the equipment online? so
I
people
do,
can
and
see
we're
that?
developing that, that's,
It's another option for you to, if the board would rather see some of that other stuff up front, you could feature the vehicles more on your website and then they'll come in for an appointment.
It is, I get what you guys are saying, I understand that you don't want a whole car lot there. I think we can limit it to the point though where it's not really, as far as looking to the future, nobody's gonna buy the property to sell 1 or 2 cars, right? I mean, that's,
We didn't say you couldn't have more cars on the property.
no, I
We're just saying
I-
up front. Huh?
It's where it
Yeah,
places
no,
right.
I understand, but I mean, if we could work around something where we limit it to a couple of cars, I mean, that's all we're looking to do anyway.
That's not your primary business.
Right.
Yeah,
what
that's,
I'm saying.
that's the point.
That's
I
why
don't
we're
think,
trying to tell you, it's not.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand.
All right, we can, the other question that the board here, you have to decide is, do you want to have a public hearing on this? This is a revision. You want to do it, well, then what we'll do then is you'll need to set that hearing tonight for the next month. He's gonna come back in with a cleaned up plan.
Really, all I
We're
gotta do
gonna
is
have-
change that, right? Are we got agreement that my measurement
Yeah.
is an error there?
How about, yeah, evidently.
It's-
It
it's
just,
the
just
scale,
the
it's-
naked eye doesn't look right.
No, and I just
okay?
measured it, it's about 65 feet when I'm doing
Yeah,
this.
6.5, 7 inches. So
Right,
Yeah.
so I don't know what I did there, but it's, yeah.
Sorry,
Closer to 70.
we won't, we won't challenge your,
I'm not much of a draftsman.
no, we won't challenge your
I took some,
draftsman ability.
I took some classes 35
The other
years,
thing
40
is
years
too,
ago.
is there anything you would want for some kind of a little low-lying,
Shrubbery.
vegetation or something somewhere? You can't have anything very high because of visibility. You don't want any of that, he had those tall trees.
Yeah, I mean,
And probably he's done is favored by getting rid of the trees.
Yeah, and honestly, I've had people stop by and say that it looks better without the trees, so,
Yeah.
you know, I
Yeah,
mean,
you don't
there's
want,
people are gonna complain, people will complain about anything, but they've had multiple
you know,
people say,
it
hey,
would
it
have
looks
to be
better.
a, you know, a 2-foot U, you know.
Yeah,
that-
So there is actually a berm here with a maple tree on it, here.
Yeah, you want the tree goes back to blocking any kind of visibility. So it would have to be something very low lying, I mean, if you wanted to take
So-
a maple tree out and put
So I'm saying, I mean,
a
it's,
couple arborvitae down in there, that'd be a different.
I mean, that's already existing, there's a maple tree and there's a berm and it, you know.
Okay, well, if you come up with a bright idea for that, you can put that on your map the next time.
Were you planning on paving that area, or what is it gonna be, just like a rudder crusher, or
It's there now, it's gravel right now.
it just kind of blends into the grass, and
Yeah, it's got a sharp,
We can take a look in
you
between. We'll do that.
clean that up?
All right, so to move on, let's schedule a public hearing. Okay, we have a motion to do so,
I make a motion to schedule a hearing.
I'll second it.
okay, that would be at 6:45 on the
December sixth.
6th of December. Okay.
We have to do county planning in this too.
Yeah.
That's a modification. So, package, the only thing that, you need is that map you're there, if, when you revise it, if you can make copies of it and sort of, make sure it pops off the drawing so that county's gonna look at that map and comment on it.
can I take pictures of it and have, I mean,
I don't know, can you maybe bring it to a copy shop, they'll copy it for you.
how
You
big,
can
how
shrink it down,
big
you
do
can
they
reach, you
really
don't,
need?
doesn't have to be
No,
that
they don't
big.
need a big. They
You can
don't.
do it whatever size you want,
Big,
just
yeah.
the dimensions are important. I
Yeah.
think.
It's
Yeah,
accurate.
I gotta look at that,
Label it,
I'm pretty confident everything else is good, I don't know what the hell.
I'd throw dimensions down on it, label it very, very specifically as to the type of item that's gonna be in that
You gotta
particular
break,
area.
and you gotta break because there's more than 30 days between now and the next meeting. So, you need to get this guy cleaned up this week.
So is there anything else you see on here that really needs to be on here, other than making sure that the dimensions are?
Are the access points shown on there, the ingress and egress to the site?
That's
Or-
what
Well, it's a public street.
It's a public street.
Yeah, but how do people actually turn into the lot?
So it's a complete curb cut all the way down?
Yeah,
and pull it in
the
place?
whole side's wide open.
Is there like a designated area you want people to come through, or?
There's
I
no
mean, it's
other,
not a drive-through really, so it's just all, this is Monroe Ave right here,
But if I'm
You're
driving
only
by,
asking-
where do I pull in?
Tom Monroe
Right,
Ave.
but in a specific point or spot.
I mean, this is all part of
How does one know
wide,
that again?
wide open.
How do you know they're pulling there? You just pull in that, because it looks like a driveway?
It looks like a lot.
Just note a customer parking spot.
Yeah.
I mean, I did
Have
do
a
that.
designated
So-
area where you would like
Yeah.
people to come through, and you can always, you can figure out how you want it.
So on this whole side here, I have it all marked off, it says customer parking and auxiliary sales parking.
Yeah.
I mean, is it?
So with dimensions, and then
It's got dimensions, everything's dimensioned off.
you're gonna double check on that.
Double check it.
I'll double check the dimensions. I'm pretty certain that's the only one I
You're not
screwed up
proposing
on.
any additional landscaping at this point, because if you're proposing it, they would wanna see it. The county might recommend some.
I mean, if they really want us to, I don't wanna overcomplicate any more than it is. And we have some
We're
landscaping.
not talking about a lot.
I mean, we have landscaping there now.
Okay.
It's landscaped in front of the house. There's a tree with a berm. There's
It's grass on the corner, right?
there's rocks actually on the corner, big rocks. There's decorative bricks around the sign pole.
Show.
Okay, so I'll draw that.
We'll do secret the next meeting.
Yep, absolutely.
There's an environmental review whether we have to go through.
Yeah, that's just process. And to go to county is because you're sitting on 31.
Okay, so the
Okay.
county thing is after we get through this?
No.
Or-
Counties have to be before we can
So-
take any
The
action.
So
sooner
do
you
I
get
have-
it, the sooner you get this back to the town, multiple
You-
copies if you can, the sooner the town can kick it over to the
If
county.
you get it to us to ensure, they have to have 30 days, okay? That's what they can hold us to.
Okay,
All right. You're lucky that there's more than 30 days between now and the next meeting.
okay.
So you've got a window here, like by the end of the week, Monday would be a drop dead date.
Okay.
You've got to get a map that we can send to the county. If you get into a legal size, 11 by 17, if it's reduced to that and you can read it, okay? That's good. You don't need a big roll-up map because we really don't have any way to send that. send it, transmit that to county.
When I put this, I've got a white drawing board,
I'm
and I
sorry.
put this on.
Who
there.
does that for
I
us?
can get
Jerry
it.
send those out?
Yes, Jerry sends them
Maybe
all.
we can let Jerry know to put a note that when our next meeting is, so the county folks see, oh, okay, the
Oh,
next meeting, and then they'll try to make sure they get it back.
We'll make a point of that. Okay?
Sounds
But
good.
you got, the onus is on you to get it. back.
Yeah, I mean, I
And then
think,
we'll get it to the county, but you gotta give us some stuff.
well,
But I'm assuming that you're giving us full application here.
yeah, I brought that the last 3 meetings, and
Okay.
you didn't get to that point.
Okay,
Because
all
I
right.
have everything else, so we.
Okay.
did that.
You gotta take that, because you need that to work from, right?
What's that?
You need that to work from.
Yes, I
That's
do.
to work from.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay.
You're all set.
Thank you, sir. Okay, all right, done with that. Okay, Mr. Breen. Come on up, we'll cheer up, whatever you'd like. No, that's fine. No, it's right there. All right, let me just preface that, you're here tonight for a discussion. You have submitted the latest map. That map, we have not really got to a point where that became a planning board application because it didn't meet the basic code for subdivision, okay? But those comments were made by Mr. Ball, and Mr. Ball will go through that with you. I'm sure you have the same, he has a copy of that material.
I think Jerry sent
Do you? You have a copy of Mr. Ball's letter to?
Yeah, the analysis. I have
That's
the
correct,
analysis,
okay,
yes,
that's
yes.
what we're gonna go through.
Yes, I have the
Now,
analysis.
if there are other people out here, which I'm not sure, that are interested parties, this is not a public hearing. This is not, it's just purely a discussion at this point, and hopefully, in a few minutes, Mr. Breen will have what information he needs to be able to move forward. Okay, that's our goal on that, okay? And so this, really, it's up to Mr. Breen here, and at this point, Mr. Ball, because it's still in his court, again, I reiterate, planning board cannot deal with something that doesn't fit the letter of the law. We can do site plan analysis, and all those kinds of things. I know it gets a little confusing, but unless, if you come up and you don't really have the parameters for a subdivision, then there's really no application, and that's where we are at this point, okay? Larry, wanna go through that with Mr. Breen?
it. I don't have a copy.
Okay. I bet you I do.
Copy of what?
My response.
All right. Yeah, I wanna work on mine.
Okay.
I wanna get.
Hang on here,
Come
Larry.
over
Hang on here, Larry, I think I might. Yeah, right here.
Give it to, you gotta give it to.
Larry, do you want, with this packet, help
I'm not sure. Hey, Rose, he's got his application here, where do you want him to?
I'll put it with this one.
So just call Gary tomorrow at the office, and tell her that that's in the file, but she might have additional, there's like some kind of small file. you can use for it.
Larry, you want this? This has your letter. This has your- That's good. Okay, this, now, the planning board's gonna look at, this is the map that you submitted. So the planning board will be aware of what is going on. Yeah, no, we got one. You guys. Okay. You want me to preface any more here, or are you good?
Well, no, I can start.
Okay.
Mr. Lange sent me a map from Mr. Green about the latest survey for the Chateau Duveen LLC subdivision. And
That's an October 20th dated map.
and he wanted me to review it from the zoning administration aspect as a prerequisite for planning board. And so I reviewed and I came up with 3 notes that were on the survey, under survey notes. And the first one being that the western lot line at the end of existing School Street is a riverine listed on the National Wetland Inventory as noted on the DEC Environmental Mapper, which is off the state website. And so we asked to have the delineation done, and it appeared Mr. Green had Plumley Engineering delineate the edge of the wetland. However, in accordance with our own town wetland requirements, it requires compliance with the New York State Freshwater Wetland Article 24, which requires the DEC to refine the delineation by contacting the DEC in Portland, and I gave them I printed a phone number out to contact them. And then what they actually do is they come up and refine, because what they have to do is they have to refine the map that's on their website to reflect a changed alteration of the wetland, if it was indeed changed. But they have to give us their answer. So that was my comment for that.
Okay, now, the other, Mr. Green is requesting that he have a residential lot here to the north and to the lake, in the MR12, basically. The one up along the road, we agree, is a buildable lot, okay?
Yeah.
But where we don't have an agreement is that there's another buildable lot on this property. So what would he need to do, or he would need to approach, in your opinion, at this point, to make this map a suitable subdivision map?
Correct.
Okay, but he needs to do something other than the wetlands, right?
Correct. That was the first note on my review sheet. I guess into the major issue is that according to our zoning schedule, he has to have 75 feet on road frontage.
Can I stop? Can I just ask respectfully that we address one issue at a time?
Well, we're not gonna address anything here.
Well,
We're just bringing out the issues,
and
because we're not gonna solve them.
totally understand. Totally
Yeah.
understand. What I'm asking is, since we're discussing item number 1, that we stay there. Mr. Ball has stated his request, and what I'd like to do is let Mr. Ball and this board and Mr. Lange know what I've done so far on that request, and see how far along, and if there's any pieces missing between where I'm at and what he's requesting here, before we move on to item 2. And then we can do item 2 and 3. I'm not looking to argue.
Okay,
I just want to add the information, just as Mr. Ball
Sure,
did.
go ahead.
item number
So you
1.
wanna comment on item 1?
Yes.
And keep it contained to that for the moment, and then go to.
And then we can discuss.
Is that all right with you guys?
items
Sure.
2 and 3. That's a good idea. So, I did receive the written request to have this, this wetland delineated. What it is it's a federal wetland. It's a, kind of like it was made by the Army Corps of Engineers. It's a drainage ditch, basically, that originates in the middle of the swampy area and comes down. It's 3 acres in total size, and it's a Class C stream. What I did is I talked with my surveyor, Jeff Moore. Jeff Moore is very, very knowledgeable on a lot of these aspects. He referred me to Plumley Engineering, and I had a gentleman by the name of Matt Mattil come out and do a delineation according to the Army Corps of Engineers. And he did a very extensive delineation on site while I was present, and we walked the bank of the drainage ditch, and he went over all the biological aspects, the plant species, wetland species, grasses, and put flags in the ground that made that light green line on the survey. He provided detailed reports dividing the sections up into 3 different sections, and also took a soil sample. I dug an 18-inch pit down to make sure that the water wasn't transferring through the soil laterally, so the wetland was defined at the top of the bank line and not in the middle of my grass.
When was that completed?
This was completed on 10/7/22. I can leave these copies with
Not with us, leave with the code enforcement.
with Mr. Ball now, but I can also follow up with electronic
Yeah, that'd be fine.
copies. I've also talked with Mr. Bliss. Aaron Bliss is the DEC officer out of the Portland office. He basically confirmed my information that this is a Class C stream, that they don't normally have jurisdiction over Class C. We talked about revised delineation, and he said it appears that what my engineer had done is the same thing he would have done. I spoke with Aaron on Friday, this past Friday, and he said he would follow up with me tomorrow and hopefully meet me at my property this week to see the flags and verify and complete that part of the request.
Okay. Number 2. We're storming through.
Okay, the second note that I noticed was note 6 under survey notes. It says that on his map, he has zone X and zone B, but there's actually zone A3 on the property. And it wasn't shown on the west side, east side, and north side of the property. So I'm requesting to have the A3 zone just dotted lined in so we know where the flood zone is on the property.
Are you referring to number 7? I know you wrote number 6 on the request, but as I read number 6, it talks about the wetland, and number 7 talks about the 100-year floodplain. Just to clarify what I mean. On your request,
I could have swore I wrote it down.
on your analysis, number 2 says survey note 6. But when I read survey note 6, it talks about the freshwater wetland being delineated, and survey note 7 talks about the 100-year flood zone, which is, I believe, is what you're referring to by the A3 flood zone.
Oh, you're right, I wrote the wrong number.
Just wanted to make sure.
This is the 7 we're gonna say, right?
Yes.
On his analysis, yes.
I'm gonna change that in my copy.
And to further this, I have spoken with my surveyor, Jeffrey Moore, after receiving this analysis, and he has no problem plotting the 100-year floodplain on that. We've had extensive talks about building in areas, sensitive areas like this, but Mr. Ball and I and Jeff, he has no problems putting that dotted line on
And then the last item was note 9. Let me make sure I got that. Yes. In reading the note, it appears the surveyor is stating that for lot 2, which is the northernmost lot being requested, the Oneida Lake boundary, he's looking at qualifying that as road frontage. But reading through our town code, the sections A, C, and E that he states in his note does not list nor infer that the lakefront boundary is a public or private road. So based on that one note for number 3, I said, in my fourth review that he only has to meet the zoning schedule of 75 feet on public road, a 10-foot section on School Street, and a 20-foot section on the private road of Water Street, which means he is well below the 75 feet required, that he's gonna be needing a zoning variance for the reduction from 75 down to 30. And once he gets that variance, then he could apply to the board for salvage with the revisions that we just talked about.
For clarification, you mentioned 20 feet on Water Street. Could you illustrate to me where you're showing a 20-foot frontage on Water Street?
Where the road butts up to your property line. Water Street's a 20-foot road. Private road.
Water Street runs east and west and actually transverses my property and is completely on my property. I'm having trouble visioning where you're picturing this 20 feet.
Well, before you purchased this property, Water Street was a paper street, which you have now improved, but you got shot down from the zoning department requesting that frontage, so I can only grant you what's established when you bought the property on 20 feet.
Which is where?
Which is where Water Street butts into your property.
On which side?
On the east side, where there was no road before. I can only give you that 20 feet of that private road.
Could you show me the 20 feet?
We are here to weigh in
What
on that.
what I'm looking at is the property line where it goes north along Joe Pirano's house. The property line meets in the center of Water Street and then transverses west 37 feet along the center line of Water Street before it heads north towards the lake. So I'm just having confusion for where I'm envisioning
What I'm
this
saying
20
is,
feet is.
when you come in off Willow onto Water, it's an improved street, private road. As you move west, even though your property line goes to the middle of that road, it's a full 20 feet that you get credit for. Otherwise, you're only gonna get 7 or 10 feet.
Can I ask why it wouldn't be the 37 feet that's along the center of the road line?
If you want to discuss that with the zoning board, but my interpretation is 20 feet as opposed to your request for 37.
So,
I'm sorry.
Ed, could you show me in the zoning, exactly what zoning regulation you're referring to where I need 75 feet of road frontage? Because I can't find it.
That's in the zoning schedule, attachment 3.
Attachment 3?
Yes, I think it's 3.
Well, you got, again, I think you've got to look now.
Which one is it, Larry? Attachment 2 or 3? I think it's attachment.
I think it's G1. Yeah,
Just one.
yes.
So, can you tell me where on this form it tells me I need 75 feet of road frontage?
In MR 12,
Yeah.
when you look at the MR 12, which is this box, and lot size, square feet, 75 foot of frontage.
Well, okay, so it says width in square feet, right?
So I think that's been interpreted over the
Yeah.
years, that's how the town looks, that column is basically road frontage 157, 150, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
The thing is, when I read through these chapters, and it's important that when you read through the chapters, I found that you read everything, even areas that might not pertain to you, because a lot of information is in the definitions. And when I read footnote 9 pertaining to MR12, it says the minimum lot width, and it even says lot width, for property fronting on a state or county highway should be 150 feet. I want to note that the term front.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to follow along with your math. Which note are we on?
We're on
We're on attachment 2 stuff?
Attachment 2, footnote 9. It says the minimum lot width, not road frontage, but lot width for property fronting on the state or county highway should be 150 feet. I totally understand why that's there. You want to limit points of access on a busy highway.
That's only true if it's up on Route 31.
The key language I want to focus in on is lot width. Because the town in writing these codes went specifically out of their way to define lot width. And
Okay,
when
I think that argument you gotta take somewhere
Yeah,
else.
we're treading into zoning board.
Yeah, that's the issue,
I respect
that's the
that.
issue, and that's what's
So
gotta
then
be
my
dealt with.
question is, it's obvious that according to reading this, it's black and white, what is allowed and what's not. And I feel that I'm going by the code. So what is the process from here? Because I've been trying to do
You need
this.
to get, somehow you need to end up with what would be acceptable 75 foot of road frontage on a public highway in the MR12.
That's not what the code is saying.
Okay, then there you go, then you've gotta figure that one out.
So, Mr. Laney, what is the process from here? Because obviously I'm having a discrepancy in what I view black and white, what's written here. Lot width is defined and how to determine it. Lot line front's defined and how to determine it. And it also, it lists specifically it can be the shoreline. And if you follow this point of definitions, what I'm doing is exactly to the letter of the code.
So I don't settle, as you probably already know, with the school yourself, I don't settle definitions. That's up to the zoning board, they have that power, so, you know.
So what's the next step from here, then what would the process be?
As far as this?
Yeah, because
So
I don't feel like I should be asking.
If you're in disagreement with these determinations by the code office, and oftentimes what happens,
Yeah.
your next step is to go to the zoning board to ask for either an interpretation or challenge determination by the code office, because this has become a formal ruling, if you will, and then the zoning board tries to sort that out. Okay. And then,
Because I don't feel like asking for a variance is appropriate, because I don't need a variance from any code according to,
but that's not his interpretation.
well, I totally understand he has a different point of view, so what I'm saying is, I didn't want to apply to the zoning board of appeals for a variance.
Thank you, I'm gonna continue to squint, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, I've got a little tiny job with it here, thank you.
I don't think applying to the zoning board of appeals for a variance is appropriate, since there's nothing that can identify a variance. So is there an application, how do we,
Then you would request an interpretation, a zoning interpretation.
is there a specific application?
Yes. And then you would fill that out, and then you would discuss that at the next meeting.
Is that, go ahead, I'm sorry.
And then, once you, the board and you decide on what the zoning board decides, is how you're gonna have to apply for your variance.
Or not apply for a variance.
Yeah, they might agree with it.
Those are two different
I've done these cases.
Sure,
I've
sure,
done
sure.
interpretation cases, so.
Okay?
I only have one request I wanna make on the record again tonight is, this has been something I've been trying to work on since April. I understand that there are regulations and processes and things. However, what I ask for is a continued and meaningful dialogue to get this done. I feel like I have a very legitimate case. I'm following my code exactly to the letter, as I'll point out in the zoning board of appeals meeting. I'd like to just get this done. I'm not a well-heeled developer. I'm a private person, working off my personal savings. This is costing me a lot of money, more than I ever dreamed. And I just want to continue this dialogue. As long as I have a basis to stand on and things that can back up my case, I just ask for a continued respectful dialogue.
I think we're accomplishing.
That's what we're trying to do
This-
for you.
This has been very
That's all I
helpful.
ask.
Your comments are well received, and I think the board and Larry's comments have been listened to by you and by everyone else. So I think there's a path here.
So if I get this straightened, if I satisfy these two items on the survey and get this straightened out with the zoning board. of
It's when he says you have a valid application to come in front of this board.
Without a variance.
Or you get the, or you
or
can
with
get
the
the
variance.
variance, and then you, if that's what
The
you
variance
secure that.
takes
and then you're on
precedent
your way
over
to-
what? We can only
Correct.
deal with the letter of the law.
Is there any way to get on the next zoning meeting with this, or is there a way to?
You gotta fill out an application.
I had-
Is that the application?
He gave it to me.
Okay?
That's up to.
All right, we need to move on, there's other people waiting here.
Next Thursday, I guess.
You fill this obligation this week, and I fill it next Tuesday.
I,
Thank you very much, I appreciate your
yeah,
time.
you want these back at this point?
No, they're,
Well, you haven't got an application, so I mean.
We could keep them, I mean, we
Well, there's-
aren't gonna lose them, I don't
Should
think.
hold on to that, it's okay.
no, because nothing's gonna change on that survey.
All right, we'll
Because that
just
was
make
a-
sure they're well labeled and we can wait.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. All right,
Do you want copies of that survey?
I've got Walker Tree Service here. I see the embodiment of tree service right out there. There we go. John, you gonna join us? Is that John?
Yeah, I like to listen.
Okay,
I like to listen.
Move along for the ride.
all right.
So,
Thank you.
my dream just came to fruition out there.
We,
And it's been quite successful, and I need a little more space for office staff.
we'd like to deal with that.
So that's why I'm here. So my dream is 2-story in the front of the building. So this is heading west off of Route 5.
Why is it not on this side?
I have no idea.
There's nothing there.
Those are dated 2017.
Well, that's the cover sheet, there's no building on it. Assuming it's the building somewhere in there.
Yeah. Tom didn't send it?
Well, all we have is a blank.
Not all of yours.
Well, I guess I'll get that to you.
That's what
Right, the building's here, but it's not in
Yeah, I don't know why.
Talk to Mr. Martin. It's right here, it says-
there. He didn't
Yeah,
do
but
it.
he didn't
He
do it.
didn't do it.
He didn't
Oh,
exist when he was doing it.
Shame.
Yeah.
He's good.
What the heck? So back to where we are. This is, I don't know, it's red, it's out here now.
Well, I know it's there, so it's there.
So I'd like to do this 2-story addition in the front. Okay, quite honestly, I can't afford it. But I would like to ask if I could get permission one time.
Front is Quarry Road.
Correct. And then I wanna put a lean-to on the back side of the building. Okay, an open lean-to, just to pull the bucket truck and the chippers in the winter time, because we're working in the winter and when the guys come in on emergency calls, I don't want them to have to shovel off the snow, okay? I can't afford to do all this right now. So I'm asking, can we just do, is it possible to get permission one time to do this, but I can't afford it right now, so what I'd like to do is put the 1-story on, okay? Maybe put the verbiage in my special, use permit, that this is the goal in the next 3 to 5 years, to put this lean-to on the back. I'd like to put this on this spring if I can, if it's allowed. Put the floor joists in so that when I can afford it, then we put that 2nd-story gabled roof on it. And I'll get that picture.
So you'd ask for a 2-story, in the special permit for 2 stories, but you only want to build one story now.
Unless
It's
you
like
wanna loan me
two
some
phases.
money.
It's like a two-phase project.
Wait, do we need to put a time
At
frame on
first,
that?
she said 5 years.
3 to 5 years.
Long as she doesn't pull a permit, there's no constraint on that.
Okay,
That's
that's
up
what
to
I'm
you.
asking.
That's up to you to
Yeah, I don't know if
decide
Larry
that.
has
Yeah.
anything to
Do
do.
one story for,
Right.
1 story for now.
I'm hoping in 2023, do 1-story like this, and look just like this. Set the floor joists in the construction, so when it's time,
Right.
we can add the
You got a
2nd
structural
story.
that can pick it up, right?
And then put this on the back, when we can afford it.
back is phase 2 also,
Correct,
or 3, or phase 3, or whatever.
correct.
And wrap the rest of the building with tree paper or?
No, we
something?
did that, and
Okay,
then we
all
tore
right,
it
fine.
down, and nobody even noticed when we tore it down hardly, what the heck? So that's why I'm here.
Okay. What we're gonna do, we can amend your special use permit. I guess what the board has gotta decide, do you wanna do a hearing on that? Okay, so why doesn't she come in next month with the plans, got a good
Building
site,
on it.
good site plan?
Building a site plan.
Show your existing parking. I think that's, it's more than just the building. We wanna make sure you've got room, it's pretty obvious that things are going fairly well because there's more and more vehicles out front.
Yeah.
And that people are being employed.
What
There's
does
a lot
that
of
mean?
red,
How many more
there's a
people?
lot of red vehicles
Nobody.
in the,
We all had.
in the central New York area, so we're seeing a lot of those.
No,
That
it's
was
not
good.
for additional people, I'm not hiring additional people, we're sharing office spaces, and we've got 4 phone lines.
It's gonna
Rent's
spread
out
out
the
more.
hook. We just can't,
That's
we
awesome,
can't focus.
that's good.
So we need to be independent, so that when we're in our offices, we can focus.
I don't think the board here has any, there's no issue
No, no.
doing this.
You gotta do a quick application so we can send it off to the county, because we're doing a change in your plan that's on Route 5. We went to the county when you had your first.
Right,
done. We
correct.
wait for- Not state law, not by our law, but state law, it's gotta
Right.
go to the county.
Do we need to see phase 1, phase 2, or anything like that, or
It's up
just?
to you guys.
We can
I
do
mean,
that
she's
in
got-
the
It's all
month.
on there, right?
Okay.
Right,
We can do that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's all on there. I mean, as
Yeah.
long as you're getting the whole thing
I was
within
just-
whatever number of years you say, you'll be okay.
Dotting i's.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So I've got, my notes are, we gotta do secret the next meeting, county referral, waive public hearing, you did. It's an amended special use permit, just needs the application form completed, and then the town needs a set of plans to send over to the county for their comment, and then she'll be on the agenda for the next meeting. Is that right? If it all goes well, you approve that meeting.
great.
Am I overstating everything?
No, I think so.
Okay, good.
There's no secret, right?
No, technically there is, but we're gonna go with unlisted short form on that one. We'll make it easy. If it was residential, we'd go type 2, but it's not.
Okay. Got them.
Do you catch something else?
Well, it doesn't mean 88 is good.
So all the doors have to meet that?
No, but he should know to do that.
Okay.
What was that with the doors?
On the full side of the door, you need 18 inches clear for ADA. So a wheelchair can come up and get
Right.
the full side. Should do that here. You're putting in the addition, and I don't see it. You only got about 8 inches or 6 inches. Yeah, and that's all new construction. Now Larry would look at that and say, there's no reason why you can't.
Okay.
Right, if you're gonna build new, if you're gonna make that, you need to do that.
Okay, so here,
Right, you know what I'm saying? It's not existing. But that's new.
yeah, but this is, the office, they're gonna come in this door,
Yeah.
this is an interior door,
Doesn't matter.
so it's still gotta
Yeah,
be
you just gotta move
handicap.
it all over here.
Okay, you got it.
He knows that. I know, he knows.
He was rushing.
He's just done, did you just say he's done?
Yes.
Because the date was 21, 10/7/21. I think you should change that too.
Yeah. I'll speak to Tom.
And then here's your applications you have to fill out.
Okay, thank you.
You get that in again within a week.
Yeah, get it, it's
I'll have him get a
safety.
building on the
yeah,
front.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Monday would probably be dropped, you gotta get, at least, really, to go to county, it's really the site plan.
I'll speak to Forrest, not Mr. Myers.
Yeah,
All right, that's it for me?
yep,
Thank you.
okay? We needed, John, I think we're gonna need a motion here just to waive that hearing.
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Okay, we need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, the motion is made to waive a public hearing on the amendment to Walker Tree Service submittal for upgrades of building and environs. Okay?
Yep.
Okay, sounds
See ya.
good.
Okay,
See you
we'll
with
see
the
it, we'll see you
paperwork
next
on
month.
Monday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Rick, you're the man.
Rick, who's this for?
This is for a consortium of guys that own this property over on to Lakeport Road and Black Creek Road. They own 500 acres of land.
What's their names? We have the name.
You sure can do some all listed out, survey.
Oh, this is Kento and Fire. Okay, I got it.
You got it?
I don't need it. I got
I
it.
bet you got it.
Thank you.
It's a good way.
I'll take it.
Black Creek goes north south.
If you looked at this, under Frank's, Frank and I had a discussion about this.
Oh, okay. 500 acres there, yeah.
We're subdividing this property into two lots. It's basically 500 and a little over 500 acres.
It fronts on both Black Creek
That's
and
it,
Lakeport.
exactly
Okay,
correct,
okay.
right. That's it.
Somebody wants to make a subdivision from Micron?
I don't know, but once you see it, you're gonna see it may not be micro
Yeah, it's all
acceptable.
wetland
Yeah, it's all
there,
wetland
yeah.
and floodplain, a lot of it. I think somebody wanted to have a subdivision just to go deer hunting, if you wanna know the truth about it. You being a deer hunter, I can tell you that's about the
This
best.
isn't that, well, that's on the other side of the road, the Black Creek Road, there's a hunting reserve. It's on
It's
the
across
west
the
side of
road, it's
road.
across the road from that, and be on the east side of the road,
Okay.
that's on the west side of the road.
Yeah, that is pretty much wetland.
Yeah, it is. I talked to Frank about this. There has been over 2 sales since 1968. This will be the 3rd sale, okay? There was one done originally in about 1980 and one done after that, so.
Okay, well, I thought we were only working on one, but that's,
Okay.
yeah, that does trip.
Yeah,
That-
it tripped the
yeah, that
trigger,
trips
you and I
it, yeah,
discussed.
there-
That, so
there
it definitely
definitely
tripped the
is, yeah.
trigger, here's the.
Yep, absolutely.
I had a power of attorney to speak on their behalf. John, if you have any questions?
So we're gonna have,
Are these guys local guys or no?
This fellow I talked to lives in Cortland.
Portland? Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Is this extra?
Just that 100 feet.
You got the short EAF in your gas? Excellent.
Oh, okay.
is there an access on Lakeport?
Yes. Road, I mean, yeah, there's several hundred feet.
I mean, oh yeah, they got frontage, but I
Yeah.
mean, is there a place that they access?
There's a tiny driveway there, Frank, but I wouldn't even say it was access road.
Okay.
It's sort of a little gravel driveway. They bring in a brush hog, I think, there must brush hog in there or something. They bring in a brush hog and park it there.
The county dug out some of those culverts there, and I think they may have replaced the culvert there at the end of that lot.
I think they might have too, yeah.
It's right up
I
here.
mean, it's not really a driveway entrance as you know it.
Yeah.
It's something they utilize. I think they park
That's
it.
on Black Creek, I mean,
Right,
I'm
right.
over here.
Yeah, okay.
How many lots do you have?
Too.
Two, okay.
Tell me lot
Okay.
number one.
One,
They're both the same size, Frank.
okay, 254.97. Ah, he's got a 254.97. That would be the beauty of computers.
For you.
Yeah, well, that's the way they wanted to do it, yeah. It was discretionary on our part, you know, I mean, you had to swing up.
What's that?
Yeah, yeah, we had to swing up at this point, move this line to where we got.
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Just got the file.
That's pretty precise.
Yeah.
Yeah, woo, that's what
Right,
I'm
this
saying.
goes in the file, that's part 1 of the seeker, but we'll go over part 2, and that's the power of attorney that, you said that's an extra we can.
That's right.
Okay.
So he's authorized to speak on their behalf.
Do I have a file for that?
So this is all south of the sod farms?
It's, south of the stock farms, that's correct, yeah, that's
I
right.
mean, the farms are up here.
That's right, yeah, Colton's are up
That's-
there,
yeah.
Pennaback is a
Right,
Colton's up there,
okay,
yeah.
so it's all south, okay.
Yeah.
Nobody's proposing any structures or anything at this point on it?
No, I think it's recreational property, John.
Let's
That's the
split it up
indicator to me.
for, everybody's got their.
I think they have a buyer for one half, I think they're gonna retain the other half, I think that's what is gonna happen at this point, you know. I gotta get into that exactly with it, but that's my understanding.
Which side has the most deer?
It all has a lot of deer on it, I can tell you that.
There's some fishers and some.
Yeah,
otters
they
and
have
stuff like
everything
that, all
else,
kinds
yeah.
of stuff running
Yeah,
across there, yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a deer hunter's paradise, that's
Mhm.
for sure.
Oh, be careful.
I don't know about that. They didn't discuss that with me, no.
Okay, I mean,
Schedule a public hearing.
yeah, that's it.
I mean,
Well, I mean, you can do it, well, you have no choice on that one. You have to have it here.
I mean, you're not having any development of any sort,
No.
right?
No,
There's
no, there's no development at all planned at this point.
No county referral, but we have to have a public hearing and we gotta do seeker.
Right.
And that'll be easy, whenever you're ready, we can just, I'll suggest to you it's gonna be a negative
Okay,
declaration.
let's, and we'll wrap it all together, the
Yeah.
date. So we're doing the secret.
All right, quickly, I'll say no, I'll suggest no to each of these. Proposed action create a material conflict with adopted land use plan or zoning regulation, no. Proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of that land, no. Proposed action impair the character, quality of the existing community, no. There's no critical environmental area. Proposed action result in an adverse change to the existing level of traffic or affect the existing infrastructure or mass transit, biking, or walkways, no. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy, fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation, renewable energy opportunities? No. Will the proposed action impact public or private water supplies or public or private wastewater facilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character, quality, important historic, archaeological, architectural, aesthetic resource? Will the proposed action result in adverse change in the natural resources? Will the proposed action result in the increased potential erosion, flooding, drainage problems? No. Proposed action create hazards for environmental resources or human health? No. And they're not proposing any construction or disturbance at the time of this action, so these no's are pretty clear. And so with that, you're going to have checked all the boxes. You're going to incorporate, you're gonna set this for a public hearing for 6:30 on
December sixth.
12/6. You are going to be the lead agency, and so you're going to approve a negative declaration in the secret process
Everybody okay with that?
for this project.
Sounds good.
All right, so make the motion, somebody.
I will.
I'll second.
Sherry made, Paul second. Rose, you got the nuts and bolts on that one? Okay.
We can watch the video as many times as you want.
Oh, that's right. Don't tell me that.
All right, sounds like your business, sir.
Okay, thank you.
See you next month.
Sign that one if you can.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye, Ray.
Sir, can we do something for you or you observe?
hope so.
Fine.
I sure hope
All right.
He's enjoyed the meeting so much.
Yeah, I'm retired. I don't care.
Oh, okay.
Is there an opening? Zoning board? I'll grab my pen back, Frank, you're good to go.
I always keep the pen.
Oh, I can't get up.
Yeah, you can get up, Joe. You're not defending us. All
Oh,
right,
I'm not even a chicken anymore.
but, we don't have you on the agenda here, but just out of curiosity.
I'm Paul Gagnon. Used to own Gagnon's in Bridgeport.
Okay,
Okay,
What's the name?
Gagnon, Gagnon.
correct.
Right?
Basically, I'm too old to keep my business going. I have a buyer for the building, a guy who wants to continue in the marine repair facility. I would like to actually take out a lot of stuff up there, it's personal, my own stuff. And, I'd like to, build a garage on the same property that I live on, the same parcel. I'll subdivide it later. I'm looking for a 24 special use permit to put the red lines where I'm going to actually end up dividing the property, subdividing it. But I need to put up that building, get my stuff into it before I do that. It's
all business zone.
Pardon me?
You're in the business zone.
Yes, I'm in the business zone. But it's gonna be personal. It's a 24 by 50 foot mobile barn. Or
What was that again, 24 by what?
50 foot.
Thank you.
It'll be basically a garage.
Yes, it's gonna have one 10 by 10 door,
You have a
one man
home
door.
there? House?
Yes, I live there. Still, my wife doesn't wanna move.
Okay,
It's basically,
that's the building. Okay, the reason that you're here is for a structure and a business zone,
correct,
right?
correct.
Okay.
I'll need his.
And on, if you're wished, I mean, he has a marine repair facility, of which I believe has special use permit. I think you did, you got one back in the day,
Probably did.
a long time ago, I do
Yeah,
recall
probably around 24 years
something.
ago.
Yeah,
Is that the one next to the VFW?
Yes.
Okay.
yeah, so, but if you're wishing to sell the property, you're going to have to subdivide that property.
Right, and that's where the space here, it doesn't show up in my new building, the building about 24 years ago, which is actually right here.
Back.
Okay, so now there's a driveway here, and which when I do subdivide it, I'm gonna cut this part off here, and they're gonna sell them all the rest of this. So the only thing I'm really keeping.
Yeah, but he has no access.
Yes, he does. There's a road going up through here. You'll have a use variance for that, roadway, and there's a sign from the corner up here, which there'll be a variance for that thing to stay there as well. So I'm not gonna cut off to his building, or the business in any way, shape, or form. The existing parking lot is is here by the building, and then there's a road that goes back in here into where we have.
Okay, I think we need to, Blair, you need to take a look at this. For him to have, at some point, if he wants to split that, he's really just creating a flag lot in the back.
Well,
And that's something we probably couldn't,
Yeah, you're gonna have to with the existing road that's right here,
Yes.
driveway,
Mhm.
you're gonna have to give that to this lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there, you're gonna have to draw a line there.
we probably might have to give him you might have to give him,
There is, there's a.
you might, that business zone there,
Which is probably about 70, 80 feet.
never really saw this before.
in what sense?
Well, basically, you're going to approve a subdivision with just an access
Show John.
to it.
Show
And
John.
he doesn't have, he would need on,
I'm not sure the
if
driveway
you had
is here.
a single property on Route 31,
So it's cutting across
if
here,
we
but
created it,
here,
it would have to have
here,
150
here.
foot of frontage.
Can't have it, there's a sign here as well.
So it might need some variances.
Right.
Yes.
So here, this is what, if I'm not your attorney, but I will caution you to talk to a lawyer, because I think if you're going to put a new structure on there.
I'm actually looking for something here, so I
Right.
can move personal property
Right.
out of this building.
I think we understand what you're doing, but we don't want you to
You gotta
do
be careful
something
with
that's
it,
gonna
yeah.
cause you a
Right,
problem
that's right. Yeah.
down the road. You wanna be able to accomplish, you've laid out, I wanna sell my business. Okay,
Right.
somebody that buys your business, they need to own the building, the land that it's on.
Right,
They need a mortgage, the bank needs clear title to that.
correct.
So you've gotta create a lot that is a conforming to the current zoning, because that's the first thing the bank will say, is your lot conform to zoning? And that's what we're trying to, right now, kind of figure out what would make
And
it.
the new structure he wants to keep.
Yeah.
What he's gonna build.
Where,
He
you
wants
have
to
a house,
keep it.
is there a house right there
Yeah,
somewhere?
we live in it.
Where is it?
It's right in front.
Okay,
This is your house right
This is
here?
my house.
Okay,
It's at
and you're
the-
selling,
yeah.
what are you selling?
Well, what I was planning on doing, because he has all this acreage,
Yeah.
basically it's like 12 acres.
Yeah.
And the building sits right here.
The marina's there?
Right.
Yeah.
And so, basically I'm selling him from, this line, this whole back lot, but I
Yeah.
don't want, he can't be landlocked.
Yeah,
I
he's
understand.
gotta
That's
get, he's gotta
correct.
get access,
So,
yeah.
so there's a road there, I figured variance for the road being there for him, so he probably can cut it out.
I mean-
I don't know if there's a variance for the road there or not, but I just don't know, it might be, I don't know, but what you don't wanna do is create a couple, non-conforming issues as you create this lot, or at least you have to get approval for it before.
now is that gonna leave you, let's say, and I don't wanna have to, because I don't even know whether this is gonna be right. if he had 60 feet, he went for a variance, we said, well, you gotta have 150, he doesn't have, he's creating a flag lot, basically what he's doing. If we just said that you gotta get a variance for a flag lot. So let's say we said what's acceptable is 50, 60 feet right away. All right? Whether you guys work it out that you use a mutual driveway or what, that's gonna be your business. Now, what does that leave you on Route 31?
That leaves me, approximately, that's 180.
I'm not sure what that line is there.
Yes, that's the whole frontage right by 31. So that would probably leave me, if I did section 8, probably 70 gold.
Yeah, hard to say, but yeah.
How much is your frontage?
184 it says.
184.
If this is.
So for you to get down and stay with no variances or anything, you need 150 feet on Route 31 for you. So that would leave a right of way of 34 feet or whatever it is, which
I don't know.
it's a private, but that would have to be the decision of the ZBA. You'd have to get a variance to do that. Now, you might want to proceed down that road to make sure that your plan is gonna work. Because the ZBA will say, you can have the variance. Then we will divide the property basically, because they don't do subdivisions, we do the subdivision. But they've removed, as near as we can see right now, the impediment for us to do that subdivision, if that makes sense.
So the subdivision is coming down the road after I get all my stuff moved, is a major thing for me, and building it so I can move out of it.
Right, well, if you own it and you work it out with somebody else, then I guess, who owns who, I Larry have to.
Is the building gonna be in the land? See, the tricky thing with you building this on the land that you're gonna sell, that you can build it.
Actually, I'm planning on doing is keeping out this little parcel here for the
So
road.
what's the back side? Okay, but you gotta make sure you give yourself enough room for setbacks for the new building you're gonna build.
Well, yeah, actually, this is 68 feet.
So don't squeeze yourself in there.
Right, well, I'm only going 24 foot wide, and this is roughly around, I'm gonna say,
What's the rear yard setback?
well, there's
Well,
actually, I was talking to Larry.
In a business zone, I mean, we said it probably,
In
but
ag zone, it's 50 feet.
I just don't.
we could get by with less actually in the business zone if we wanted.
The planning board set that, Larry?
Yeah, we do.
The planning board has discretion to set
Yeah, they
that
can
rear
set it
setback.
at
Oh,
zero.
you're
Right.
good. You should be good.
We good.
They can set it for you.
We can
There's
handle
no
it.
hard and fast rule that you have to get a variance from that. That's what I was trying to.
No. But the frontage, yes. We don't have the discretion to waive that 150 feet.
You're gonna have to get another road cut here off of the road too. You're gonna have DOT's gonna approve your access to there. Well, there's already access. there,
There's
right?
already access.
So what's their what's the road cut gonna be for them? Right there? This is an existing road cut?
Existing road, yes.
What about for the house?
That's right there. Oh, well, actually, I have a driveway right here.
You already have it?
I already have the driveway.
Okay. He's already got his driveway for the house, so you can't be denied that. And then there's an existing commercial driveway cut right there too, so he's all canned his driveways. And this is all, that's, yeah, you're good, yeah.
It's good, except,
Well, I mean, you gotta look at what the final layout's gonna be and see if he needs any variances for that.
right, but I mean, I don't know how, he hasn't got it, he'd need 300 feet for no variances. He hasn't got 300
Well,
feet.
I definitely need that, yeah.
So he's definitely, and he doesn't, so his best bet is not to shorten his house, but to leave your driveway at 34 or 5 feet, whatever you got left
Get as much.
from your 150. Set 180 something,
So
right?
you wanna see a surveyor and have him
Yeah.
lay that out for you.
But then you're gonna have, then you're putting created as a flag lot, which they're around town, they're everywhere. But you're gonna need a variance from the ZBA, to have them accept the flag lot.
Okay.
Okay, so that's gotta be done.
The
Now,
ZBA
the
is
C-
zoning board?
Zoning Board of Appeals. They meet the second Thursday of every month. Larry can walk you through
Okay.
that process, because basically he ought to make out a subdivision application, even though right now that's not it, but he needs to know that, so you can say, you can't, you have a frontage here, you're gonna do this. Then you're gonna have to go to the ZBA. Now, as long as you own the property, all of it, you could build your building. But what John is trying to point out, we're trying to point out, make sure that you know where you got it,
Right.
so that when you wanna split it, you can't have, we set those limits, but don't put it on the property line, because we'll say, hey, you just,
It's not gonna be on the property line, I want these posts back in my building.
yeah, but you see what I'm saying? We were trying to get you to say, have some reasonable buffer there, we can work with you. But, just don't,
I've seen these guys back their boats many, many times over the years, and believe me, it says, sign says, stay off the grass. No.
Doesn't happen.
No, so, no, I wasn't gonna put it on the line by any chance. I was thinking about at least 5, maybe 6 feet in, so I have room.
well, you ought to have a drive, you ought to be able to drive around your building if you ever need it.
Oh, yeah.
Have enough room.
Actually, in this case, the building, you can drive completely around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, on both sides.
But you got enough room there, just don't give the other guy all the land,
Well, no, I'm trying to make sure it's accessible. I mean, I've been in the boating business for a long time, and I know what it takes. And
Okay.
he needs to have this facility in order for him to location, in order to be successful.
Okay.
And so,
Work it out with Larry, make sure you got all that, when you get ready, you need, and Larry says, well, you're gonna need to subdivide now. Then you come, get that done and come in front of us,
okay.
alright?
If he wants to just put up the building, would he need a special use permit? Or modification of the existing?
It's a new structure on an existing, it's a new structure showing up on an existing approval, you need some sort of approval for that.
We can do that, I mean, that we could do as a special use permit.
Modification.
Yeah.
Modification of it, and I think that if you go in his file, if you can find, he might be of the vintage that those files aren't existent, but,
That house was built in 1860.
but the special use permit, yeah.
I've gone through a lot
I got-
of money making sure it was updated.
I got you by a few years, I was just 1820. But what I'm trying to say is, there's a pathway, you're okay, we'll get it worked out, but make sure that,
Larry keeps me out of trouble.
that's right.
Again. I've already praised him a lot for keeping me out of jail.
There you go, alright?
Very good, thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Anything else we need to deal with?
No.
We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second
Motion made, seconded, any discussion, not hearing any, all in favor?
3-0.
Pardon?
it. 2-0 the first.
Phillies?
What we all feel is.
Go Phil.
Bryce Harper